Call this meeting to order. This will be a special call meeting of the Roswell City Council. What we will do, we've got our regular open forum meeting will begin at 7:30, so we'll call the agenda. We'll get as far as we can before 7:30. At 7:30, we'll take a break. We'll go to the regular agenda. I will be calling the issue of reconsideration of the veto after the break. So the folks who are here on the veto, unless we have a really short meeting, it's going to be called after the special call, after the regular meeting. And I can see the folks out there, some of them disheartened, but I think it's appropriate to wait till we have all the folks here. So with that, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda? So moved. Motion by Councilmember DiPolito. Do we have a second? Second. Second by Councilmember Becky Wynn. Does any one of the audience have any questions about the consent agenda? All in favor of the motion, raise their hands. Passes unanimously. This time I'll call upon Councilmember Rich DiPolito.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The first item on the community development agenda is approval of a resolution to submit the 2009 annual CIE update to the comprehensive plan. Mr. Townsend.
Thank you, Councilman DiPolito. This is an annual review of the capital improvements element of the comprehensive plan as required by state law. Any municipality that accepts or collects impact fees is required to do an annual update. This annual update has been to committee. It has been reviewed by the Planning Commission at their June 16th, recommended for approval. It is recommended by staff that this document be transmitted to DCA for their review.
Do we have a motion for approval?
Move to approve.
Motion by Councilmember DiPolito. Do we have a second? Second by Councilmember Tollison. All in favor? Does anyone in the audience have any questions or comments about the comprehensive plan update? Any further discussion by council? All in favor of the motion, raise their hands. Passes unanimously.
The next item on the agenda is initiation of a text amendment regarding the expanded use of business banners. Mr. Townsend.
Yes, this item was brought to committee. It is in conjunction with the Find It All in Roswell. The direction at committee is to provide for a text amendment which would allow a business an additional 40 days of advertising per year if the Find It All Roswell is included as part of their promotion. And this is a draft text amendment that is proposed for initiation, and it will go through the regular text amendment process once initiated. Staff would recommend approval.
Any questions? Do we have a motion? Councilman DiPolito.
I had a question. Mr. Townsend, we have a logo that has been designed for the Find It All Roswell program. Are we working with a sign company or companies to help us figure out the size that these banners should be and how to put the logo on and so forth?
In calling the sign companies, we found that a maximum of the logo area should be approximately between 10 and 15% of the overall banner that's utilized. So we'll use that as a criteria when issuing a permit to any business that would like to use this as part of their promotion.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion by Councilmember DiPolito. Do we have a second? Second by Councilmember Orleans. Does anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? Any further discussion by council? All in favor of the motion, raise their hands. Passes unanimously. This time I'll call upon Transportation. Councilmember Becky Wynn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Approval for the mayor and or city administrator to sign a change order with Baldwin Paving Company for the Crabapple Road at Chafin Road intersection improvement project in the amount not to exceed $50,000. Mr. Asenbrack and hi, Neil. Good evening.
Thank you, Councilmember Wynn. Mr. Mayor, members of City Council. The Transportation Department takes great pride in providing quality projects for our city on schedule and under budget. We also believe that in a democratic form of government, full disclosure of all these issues before they rise is the hallmark of both a well-run city and a well-run department. The issue before us tonight is a potential problem. Based on the information that I have seen for the line item for asphalt leveling may exceed our current funding authorization. So the $50,000 that I'm asking for tonight is an administrative allowance to cover for potential overages that we may have during construction. I'll do my best to explain this to you. You will recall here's an aerial view of our project. This is Crabapple Road here, the intersection of Chafin Road, and we also have a small improvement at Strickland down here. With me so far? I'm going to be studying body language here to make sure we're good, but just to try to explain this to you. Okay. Here's another view. This is an advanced sheet. We're putting together a bunch of project sheets for you that you'll see at our update. But this is a picture of the area. And the reason I want to show you this is because it's very flat out there. So the issue here is drainage. And the other thing that I want to show you is this concept, to fully explain this to you. A little graphic for you. Okay? Now, if you take the road and you cut it and you look at it from the side, this is what the road looks like. Here's the curb and gutter. And this little dotted line is designed to show you kind of the existing conditions of the road. And then the solid line is what we propose to build. With me so far? Okay, so here's the concept. The concept is that in converting a road from existing to proposed, some of it we mill in order to make the elevation. We grind it up. And some of it we fill. So there's milling and filling. And the filling is called leveling. And so the asphalt is this leveling. Okay? Good so far? All right. We had a set of plans done for this project. We had it surveyed, had the plans done. The designer comes up with a estimate of quantities. And one of those line items is asphalt leveling. We procure the project. We bring a consultant, a contractor on board. He brings a surveyor in. He does his quantity takeoffs, and he says, you know what, I'm going to need more leveling to do this project right. And so we've got now kind of where art meets science, a debate about how much leveling it's going to take to build this project. Within the staff, we believe that if the contractor builds this according to the plans, there may be a slight increase in the amount of milling and the amount of leveling. But we really won't know until we actually set the curb line and actually do the construction. And so, anticipating that this may run over, I'm asking you to approve this allowance for $50,000. I believe, Neo and I both believe strongly that this will be less than $50,000 and may be significantly less than $50,000, and it may be zero. But just to be full disclosure, we're thinking that this is the best way is to ask for your permission to expand this line item in advance of actually going over budget.
Any questions? Councilman Orleans.
Yes, sir.
Question. Why not wait until you fill it and find out exactly how much it is and then ask for it? Why do we need it up front?
Steve, let me address that question. I actually made the call to go ahead and put this on because of timing. I didn't want to get into a situation because this is a significant increase. I did not want to get into a situation of not having the authorization to proceed and stop the project at that point. So we felt like it was better to alert the council to find out if there's a propensity for us to proceed in this manner before we got that far down the road and the contractor's actually out there ready to pour these quantities, and then we come back after the fact and say, hey, we ran over. Just timing.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Councilman Tollison.
And am I correct in reading the supporting information that the entire amount of the city's portion, including this amended portion, is available under impact fees?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Other questions? Councilmember DiPolito.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Asenbrack, the project was bid out, is that correct?
Correct, yes, sir.
Is this a change in the design, from the original design?
No. We believe we're going to hold fast to the original design.
Then why is that not picked up under the contract as it's written? This, whatever the, if there is a change here Isn't that really the contractor's responsibility?
We bid this out under the unit cost method, which means that there's line items in the schedule of values for each of these, and so this is where the debate is. That the contractor has actually come down on his unit prices from about $80 a ton to about $60 a ton to help us with this. But and again, this is all me maybe coming too early, but I just wanted to let you know fully that we may be in this after discussing this with Kay.
Okay. So it's unit cost, it's not a lump sum.
It is unit cost, and we will get trip tickets from the actual trucks, and we'll be able to tell you definitively what it costs.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Do we have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, motion to approve the tilling, milling, or whatever else we're doing with
Leveling.
the road, not to exceed $50,000.
Motion by Councilmember Becky Wynn. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Orleans. Does anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? Any further discussion by council? All in favor of the motion, raise their hands. Passes unanimously. This time I'll call upon Public Safety, Councilwoman Laurie Henry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The only item on our agenda this evening is an approval of a budget amendment to amend the fiscal year 2009 E911 fund expenditure budget by $65,000. Chief Williams.
This is a year-end accounting measure we're taking to get our line items in order. When we budgeted, as you know, when we start our budgeting process, it's like in December and January. So we did straight line forecasting of what the expenses would be in this account. And at that time, we just straight line forecast, as I said, we had not been billed fully. So when the bills came in at a higher rate, then we began looking at ways that we could take this in our existing operating budget. Couldn't do so. So what we're asking to do here is to go into our reserve and to pull some money out, put it in this line item, and make it balance.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion?
Yes, I move to approve the budget amendment 3800062909 for $65,000.
Motion for approval by Councilwoman Laurie Henry. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Becky Wynn. Does anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? Any further discussion by council? All in favor of the motion, raise their hands. Passes unanimously. This time we'll hear from our city attorney. We're going to get to that veto.
Mr. Mayor, this is consideration of the mayor's veto that was entered on May 14th. Council has...
Can you please turn on your microphone?
Sorry. This is a consideration of the mayor's veto issued on May 14th. Council has carried this item over at each meeting since that time in the hopes that the applicant and the neighborhood might have an opportunity to come to an agreement regarding a new site plan. And Mr. Townsend, I believe you have some information in that regard.
Yes, there's been an application, an amendment to the approved application, and from the applicant they're requesting that the property previously rezoned to R3A be rezoned to R2. There has been a revised site plan that has been submitted to staff, which has been analyzed, and if directed by council, we'll go through the public hearing process and come back to the council for their final action.
All right. For clarification purposes, Crossville Hardscrabble LLC presented a revised plan for mayor and council to consider. I understand if one of the representatives wants to come forward and confirm this, they are making a settlement offer on a lawsuit that was brought by them June 12 regarding the mayor's veto. So we have pending litigation, and we now have a revised site plan that has been provided to council for consideration. To review a little bit, following the veto, the vetoed item automatically was placed on the agenda of the next council meeting. It's been continued since then. Each time Council must override a veto within 60 days. Therefore, Council has to take some action regarding the veto by July 13th, or the veto automatically stands. The original site plan that was submitted May 11th and was originally approved by Council that night and then vetoed by the Mayor on May 14th would have rezoned part of the site from E2 to R3A and would have allowed construction of 31 town houses. The remainder of the site was governed by the Parkway Village Overlay District regulations. The revised site plan that has been submitted to the city, dated June 23, 2009, changes the proposed R3A zoning to a proposed R2 zoning to allow construction of 14 single-family homes. The remainder of the site remains proposed Parkway Village Overlay as in the site plan submitted on May 11th. After the veto, Mayor and Council encouraged everyone involved, applicant, Brookfield, and other neighbors, to try to agree on a site plan acceptable to both. It's our understanding that the revised site plan is the result of those efforts by everyone. I want to emphasize that Mayor and Council have not agreed yet to any settlement. That is what I understand has been submitted, and if that is so and confirmed by the applicant, then I would recommend to Council that they take it to closure for consideration in the normal manner. If Mayor and Council agree that this is a good settlement proposal and recommend that we go forward with that, then we would begin the process. If Mayor and Council authorize legal to proceed with a settlement in a zoning case, the following procedure is used. First, the city will advertise the process as it does with any application for rezoning. In an abundance of caution and as an accommodation to Crossville Hardscrabble LLC, we have begun the advertising necessary in order to bring it as quickly as possible, given the fact that this application has been pending since December 2nd, 2008. Next, there will be a specially called meeting of the Planning Commission on July 9th to consider the revised site plan with its attendant conditions and requests for variance. Following that, the application will be brought before Mayor and Council at its meeting on July 13, 2009 for a public hearing. Only after that hearing, and if Mayor and Council approve the revised plan and the proposed R2 rezoning and the Parkway Village overlay for the remainder of the site, will the proposed settlement become effective. As part of the negotiations between the applicant and the Brookfield Country Club Homeowners Association, Crossville Hardscrabble and Brookfield Country Club Homeowners Association have reached a private agreement on issues as set out in a letter from Brookfield to Mayor and Council. That was dated June 26. While Mayor and Council can recognize this agreement and have it reflected in the meetings, minutes of its meetings, the city has no power to enforce certain provisions of that agreement. And legal has made that clear to both the applicant and to the Brookfield Homeowners Association. With that, if anyone has any questions regarding the procedure, I'll be happy to answer that.
Does anyone have any questions? Before we consider a motion, I would like to explain my reasons for vetoing this, which I have not publicly explained, and to really to cover that, I would like to call Brad Townsend. My veto was based upon his recommendation of denial of this zoning, and I'd like to go over the standards of review, which he's already put into the public record. Townsend, do you have your records on your reasons for denial?
What's on the overhead as well as on the computer is the staff report dealing with the R3A rezoning. These are the standards of review, starting with number 1 going through number 23.
I want to cover a few of those, which I think I base my opinion on. On 1, it asks whether or not the proposal will permit a use that is suitable in view of the use and development of the adjacent property. And what was your answer with response to the adjacent single-family homes?
I felt that the R3A townhome, would be in conflict with the existing homes in the area to the east and to the north.
On the second question, you said whether or not the proposal will adversely affect the existing use or usability of adjacent or nearby property. Do you believe that the townhouses would have adversely affected the adjacent single-family neighborhood?
I did, sir.
On paragraph 3, one question was whether E2, as it was currently zoned, was a reasonable economic use. Did you believe it had a reasonable economic use as currently zoned?
I did, sir.
With regard to the policy intent of the comprehensive plan, what was your opinion?
That the R3A was inconsistent with the existing comprehensive plan designation for the property.
Now, with respect to whether or not the 6.8 acres zoned as E2 single family, did you have an opinion as whether or not that could be developed as currently zoned?
I believe it could have, yes.
On paragraph 10, well, it's really the same question. Paragraph 13, suitability of the property under existing zoning district, and what was your opinion regarding suitability of property for the townhouse zoning?
I felt it could be used as E2 currently designated.
So there was no need to rezone it?
Correct.
Now, item 17, possible creation of an isolated zoning district. What was your opinion regarding that?
This would have been the only R3A zone designated property within the area.
In paragraph 18, possible effects of a change in zoning and overlay map with the character of the zoning district. What was your conclusion?
I felt it would change the dynamic of hardscrabble as it would from its existing single-family designation to a multifamily use used in the R3A townhomes.
Did you have an opinion about the preservation of the integrity of residential neighborhoods as single-family homes across the street?
Yes, I did.
And what was that opinion?
I felt it needed to be maintained in a single-family manner.
And for the council's benefit, those are the reasons that I exercised the veto. Now, at this time, any comments from council, or do you all wish to make a motion?
Mr. Mayor, may I say before we proceed, given the fact that we have a request for us to consider a settlement proposal, I would recommend to council that they defer any action on the veto pending their decision in closure regarding the settlement.
When would they have to make a decision on the veto?
By July 13th.
All right. Does the council wish to make a motion to defer? Do we need a motion to defer? Or is this just lack of a motion to handle it?
Either way, it has the same effect.
Does any council wish to make either a motion to defer, a motion to override the veto, or a motion to sustain the veto? You don't have to make a motion to sustain the veto. Does any council member wish to make a motion? Mr. Halsey says there's not a need to make a motion, but if the council feels they need to take a position or make a comment, we'll hear from them at this time.
I would recommend council make a motion to have closure to consider litigation.
Do we have a motion for closure?
I move for closure.
Motion for closure by Councilmember DiPolito. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Orleans. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion? Yes, Councilmember DiPolito.
I just wanted to make a comment before we vote on closure, and wanted to thank both the members of the Brookfield Country Club and the members of Coro for all their hard work over the last almost 60 days. I know it's been a lot of effort put in by folks on both sides, and I think that the effort has paid off. I wanted to specifically recognize Michael Gould, who has done an outstanding job of representing his community, and I think the Brookfield Country Club can say tonight that they're very proud of the job that you've done for them, and you really have stepped it up. When it gets tough, some people run away, and in your case, you stood up and you did what you thought was right, and I think that was a great tribute to you. Also, wanted to thank Paul Ludwig for sticking in there, and Mr. Lundeen from Coro, and all the efforts that everybody put in. I think that the end result here that hopefully we will achieve will be something that will be good, not just for Brookfield Country Club, but good for the city overall. Thank you.
We have a motion for closure by Councilmember DiPolito. Do we have a second? We had a second already. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, raise their hands. Passes unanimously. It is now 7:30, or at least 2 minutes to, so we'll go ahead and call the open session. If there's any members of the audience who